Hey there.
Hello, hello.
Good to see you on this lovely Tuesday.
Live. Do you want to do the Palo Santo thing?
Yeah, let me get that. What are we going to talk about today, my love?
What's going on, y'all? We were thinking of talking about mental health and the different facets of mental health, the different ways.
Okay. Here it
Can't
is.
find it? Oh.
Here it is. Yeah, mental health.
Yeah.
It's hella important. It's, I think we oftentimes think of our body, our physical health as separate from our mental health, as if our brain isn't our literal most important body part. And I think that's by design that we've been taught to discount the power of the brain. But, I think certainly recently there have been a lot of, high-profile suicides and overdoses, and there's been a ridiculous uptake in suicides in the Black community, and just in general. I mean, we're solidly in year 2 at least of a pandemic, of a mass death event, and I think it would not be good if we weren't struggling with our mental health. If we were accustomed to this really crazy, really traumatic life existence that we live in. Yeah. So, okay, sorry, I'm setting a timer. Stop. Yeah.
Yeah, what's that saying? I think it's a saying, it is not a sign of good health to be well adjusted to, I think the saying is well adjusted to injustice, but I think the same is true for just a condition like this, where everything's all fucked and
very unjust.
Weird uncertainty in the medical arena and government and everything, and some challenges in terms of our ability to deal with it is reasonable and justifiable. So it makes sense to try to kind of be kind with yourself as you go through it. I'm still working on that because this stuff was good. So people jumped in. What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, it's we can't help, what's happened to us, really, our traumas and things, but, it is our responsibility to heal from it. So,
yeah.
Let's get to work, y'all.
What I like is that the conversation, I'm going to speak as a Black man, the conversations around coping and dealing with difficulty and feelings and trauma and speaking them out and articulating them and thinking about them, I think that's very different now. It's in a place where when I was being raised, it was there was a lot of identity, masculine identity in just dealing. You just handle shit. You don't have to. There's no such thing as burdens for you. You're able to just carry difficult stuff, and I think that was wrong before, and I think it's changing.
Yeah, I think that was a way to dehumanize Black men. To make them feel like you're just a machine. You just work. You don't need help. And, it's funny also because I think growing up as a Black woman and seeing other Black women, I think that's kind of what we're taught is that, we shoulder the burden, we take care of what needs to be taken care of. We don't ask for help. We don't ask for recognition. We're the supporters. So I think of not asking for help as a very feminine trait. So maybe if that helps reverse psychology men into taking their healthcare seriously, it's feminine as hell to shoulder the burden of stuff without asking for help. You're not a machine. You're a human. I
agree. Yeah, we should totally just get rid of that, just in general, for all the genders, for all the people. There's no such thing as shame around coping with life. Life is way too complex, way too challenging.
Yeah.
And it goes up and down, and we need each other. And we're social creatures.
Yes.
And we need to be able to assess ourselves and
yeah. My dad would always say, if you don't control your mind, someone else will control it for you. And that's absolutely true. I think, when we're taught to disregard our pain, to just laugh it off, to just drink it away, to just, ignore it, to work it away, that pain is supposed to be an indicator that something's wrong. So if we're not, if we're ignoring, if we're numbing the thing that's wrong, if we're just putting a Band-Aid over it, if I ignore the pain in my stomach, if I just drink it away, I might not realize that my appendix burst and that I'm dying of sepsis. And I think with the suicide, with the overdoses, with the other destructive habits that, we normalize, I think we're all dying of sepsis.
Yeah. I think
I love a good analogy.
Yeah, you do love a good analogy.
And I'm so good at it. It's like one of my skills. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, if you don't control your mind, someone else will control it for you. And I think all these messages that we get that like, no, you just need a good drink and, a little toke and, you just need to work it off. Put it out of your mind. Don't even think about the thing. I think that's because it's easier to control you when you're hurt, when you're tired, when you're fed up, when you just want to, it's easy to be told what to do.
Yeah, I think in general there's a way of, it keeps, when you don't talk about something, it keeps, someone benefits from that. Or something, some condition, whatever the condition is, benefits.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong, there's an elephant in the room, and no one addresses it, no one points it out, then the elephant gets to rock and just sit in the room. And that's true for lots of different scenarios and situations. And so that's true, elephants in the room. It's also like on an internal level, like an elephant in your body, some sort of the sepsis, whatever the condition is, needs to be spoken of. It needs to be looked at. And
if you can't tell your doctor that you're hurt, if you're just like, no, everything's good, they're not going to be able to help you. They're not going to be able to fix you.
Yeah.
If you can't name the thing,
you're
anyway. So we've been like, I've been trying to hack myself, and I was realizing alcohol is something that's, I'm a person, if I have the thing, I will drink all of it. I have a very high tolerance for alcohol and other intoxicating substances and things. And I wanted to not have to rely on anything external to me to do stuff. And so I've been, we've both been, practicing. We did dry January, and now we're, doing super limited intake only when we are out with friends, which is pretty rare.
It's pretty rare, and it's different from what we did all 2021, which is
the opposite.
Bottles in the house.
Exactly.
Drinking it up.
And we could get through a 6-pack of, and I like to do a higher alcohol content beer, like a 8, and I like to get the bang for my buck. So, I could easily go through a 6-pack in a day.
We've been really good though. You don't even, the cravings, there's no cravings.
Yeah.
Everything's just a good look. So.
Yeah. Everything is a habit. Things seem really hard at first. Like the first day is really tough. Hey, brother. The first day is really tough. But, like anything that's worthwhile, it's tough at first. But
yeah,
it's easy. And it makes me think back to when I was a kid and when I didn't drink or smoke or anything, and I just had to get through life. I'm like, I can do that again.
Definitely.
So can you.
Yeah. I think the last big time I took a strong break from drinking, I told you, was when I first started BB Digital, and things were really rough and no clients. I was all supply, no demand. And I just knew, I said, I don't want to be drunk or high feeling good through this. I wanted to feel the discomfort of the situation, because the discomfort tells me I need to grind harder, I need to work harder, I need to find stuff, I need to get better at the skills. If I'm enjoying this time, I might never do what's necessary to get out of it. So now it's a different situation. I'm certainly not.
Yeah, now it's like, yeah. I feel like it's
just a personal choice. It's a choice to even, for discipline kind of thing, I think. So. Yeah,
exactly. I like practicing the discipline because I think I can apply that same discipline in other areas and stuff. And I think when I was last drinking a lot, it was when I was with my ex-husband, and everything was shitty, and I wanted to have a barrier between life and my mind. I don't know. And so now I'm just having such an amazing time. I'm living my best life. I just have this amazing person, and I just want to feel very present So I was like, I don't think I even need it anymore. It's just a habit that I'm used to. So, which I think the feeling of anxiety is also a habit. I think sometimes when in our capitalist society, we're told in all these different ways that our worth, our value is tied to our productivity. So when, we struggle with unemployment, when we feel like we have to like work and work, like when we're just sitting and chilling, we think we're doing something wrong. We think we should be doing something. And I think we're, I don't know cars, but I know that they're not supposed to run constantly. They run best when they rest. So you're not better than a Mustang. You need to rest.
That's right. Your brother says, our brother. So if that's real, what's going on?
That's real.
What's going on, Zarin? Bright says, drinking water between drinks is really helpful to avoid excess drinking.
That's true. That's true. I've been trying to, instead of drinking, which working from home, it's so easy to just drink. So I've been trying to drink water instead and does not keep alcohol in the house because, I will finish it.
It's been a good look, though.
So you were feeling some anxiety yesterday, and on Sunday Billy has his therapy appointment, and on Monday I have mine. But you were feeling some anxiety yesterday. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. It's a recurring anxiety, just related to everything, the state of the world, the country, the state of our communities.
My brother says rest is not a reward. It's a part of the process. Exactly. Rest is not something you need to earn. It is a right. That is what our ancestors dreamed of. Taking a goddamn nap.
Taking a nap.
I'm sorry. Continue, please.
Yeah, in the state of, being back an independent artist again, trying to figure out how best to use my time, whether it's something for a client or something for myself, trying to think, get creative, and I feel blessed that I have different avenues that I can get creative stuff out, tell stories, written stories, visual stories, animation or something, and what to do. You have all these hours in a day, how do you use it for me productively? And I was just kind of stuck and feeling really nervous about it and wondering about the next steps and the choices. So I spent most of the day quietly stewing over it because I didn't want to burden you with it. And then at some point, around 5 or 6, I had to just tell you, and because I felt like I was acting differently, and then you were so chill and calm and asked me to talk about it, and so we talked about it, and you listened, and I think you asked me if I wanted
I try to ask
strategy or
do you want strategy or empathy?
Support, empathy, right? And you gave me both because I think I asked for both, and it was helpful. It's helpful to just put things in a different context. Hear somebody else who's a little bit understand some of the stuff I was talking about was kind of I had a larger than life conception. Yeah, I was catastrophizing. That's the word. And you helped me kind of see that, and we talked it through. And then some of it was a catastrophe. Some of it was fairly legit. And we're just gonna. It's we'll just take time and relax, and these things pass. And then hours later, I felt a ton better. Today, I felt a ton better. It comes and goes, and just to find comfort in that, and to know that these are feelings. They're not
temporary
real.
feelings.
Everything is like that. So just let them feel it, try to learn from it, keep it moving.
Yeah, give them attention. I think feelings our emotions are like little children. They just want attention sometimes. They just want you to sit with them for a second. They just want you to acknowledge it, and we don't have to run from it. I think our emotions, they help tell us what we value. They help tell us, I don't know, where our healing lies, where our wounds are. And I love when you share with me, when you're vulnerable with me. I think that takes a lot of courage. I think it's masculine if you need that. I think it's feminine if you need that. But I think regardless of, your gender identity, it's important to share the biggest illusion is that we're all different, but we're all the same. We all have this anxiety. We all have this feeling that we're not enough, that we're not doing enough, that we have to earn our keep, that we're like one vulnerability, we're one, unresolved thing away from someone putting us out. And I don't think that's it. And yeah, so I was very grateful that you trusted me enough to share with me, and that you trusted yourself enough to know that these feelings will pass,
And they did, and they do, and that's all it is. It's easier to remember it when it's like in the past tense, but it's important to try to access that in the middle of it, and just control. So I've been playing back and forth with like controlling and just relaxing.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much like I said, there was a time where it was just like you forget these feelings, don't worry about them, and then once I started to deal with feelings, I came at it with like a sense of control. Like, how do I control this? I don't want these anxieties to disrupt my flow as I'm grinding and doing things. So you got to control them. And now I think the next evolution is to just be and allow them. They're not your adversary, like you're saying. They are a part of you. They have something to do with your projections and your internal workings, and it's simply part of a roadmap to understanding self.
Yeah.
And so you can just be in it.
I think you're very oriented towards fixing things, and I don't know if y'all seen Encanto yet, but yeah, Bruno. No, not Bruno. What's the other one? Actually, honestly, all of the people in that family, I feel like, felt this pressure, this burden of wanting to help. Whatever their gift was, they wanted to use it to help everyone else, to make everyone else's life easier. And you're like Louisa, the big strong one, who everyone is like, hey, can you lift this up? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you literally shoulder this burden? And, we learn to get some of our value, our self-worth from our ability to help other people, and to do it without, complaints, to do it without being like, actually, I can't right now. Actually, I'm really sleepy. Actually, like, I need some help with this. Actually, I don't want to. And
definitely,
And
Encanto was dope, right?
Yes, Encanto was so dope. I know that song she does. Drip, drip, pressure. I don't know, we gotta watch it again.
I fucked with all the songs, man.
It was great.
I really fucked.
I thought it was good. Our one friend had the opposite,
Yeah, we had a friend who wasn't into it. But anyway, I think, you hit the nail on the head for me in particular as it relates to this idea of wanting, like, your worth is tied up in being helpful. And through therapy and through a lot of deep personal reflection outside of therapy, but with the help of therapy, I've been able to identify that, man. I've been, for a long time, I'd say the majority of my life, in a condition of a little bit of hypervigilance for different reasons, and then also hyper desire to present utility, to be helpful in a space, which indicates a kind of a lack of indicates a self-worth issue.
Yeah.
Like, to just be.
You're trying to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, your value is in your existence here. You don't have to be, like, building the house. You don't have to be making all the money. You don't have to be, shouldering all the difficult stuff. You don't have to be solving problems. You're awesome.
Thanks, boo!
You're awesome. But yeah, he's, like, you've seen these fucking, what are these trapeziuses, the deltoids or whatever? It's tight, And I think a lot of people are like that. Women, and non-binary people maybe carry it differently, but, you're tight. And I think a lot of us are afraid that if we ask for help, we're not going to get it. That people are going to think less of us, like we're weak. But I think it's a sign of strength, that you're able to recognize what you can do and when you need help and when you need assistance.
I think so too. I think, yes, it's definitely a sign of strength. It's not only valuable in the periods of, like, the lows, when you need help, when you need strength. I think you access more highs as well. Yes. I think through getting your shit centered and a kind of, like, wellness, knowing yourself, and a practice around that, you also access more heights and you're able to see more possibilities. You're less constricted in your vision. That's been my experience. Real talk.
Definitely. Yeah. When my dad died, I realized I already knew, but I was so anxious all the time before my dad died. I was just anxious and very kind of self-aware, and I just thought everyone was kind of like, you know, judging me and just all these things, and that I just like wasn't enough, kind of. And after my dad died, I was like, fuck, I had it all. You know, my life was great. And so now it's honestly very easy to be like, actually, my life is awesome. So I think when I do feel anxiety, a lot of times it's just a habit. It's a habitual feeling, like muscle memory. Like I'm used to feeling anxious when I'm just sitting, like I'm not doing enough, but I have to remember, like, actually, that's just muscle memory, and I'm trying to rewire my brain now. What I'm supposed to be doing right now is chilling. What I'm supposed to be doing right now is sitting with my uncomfortable thoughts.
Yeah, man.
I also think that, so different ways to manage one's mental health. I think therapy, excellent tool. I hear it's been stigmatized. I haven't experienced that as much, but you know what? Actually, yeah, my parents both have masters in counseling, but didn't go to therapy themselves when, they definitely needed it. I think it was just not something, I think we think of it as a superfluous expense, but if if your brain doesn't work, if you're brain dead, it doesn't matter how fit your body is, you're dead. Yes. What about meditation? Exactly. That was the next thing. So mindfulness, is, I think that goes along with, if you don't control your mind, someone else will control it for you. If you don't know what makes you tick, you don't really know yourself. You don't know what you can do. And I think meditation and mindfulness is just a practice. It's like building the muscle of getting to know yourself, not getting attached to the different ideas and thoughts that might come to you. You observe them like little children, like, okay, hey, let it go. Go on to the next one.
That's an awesome, to me, I think that's an awesome, not alternative, but it's a different kind of meditation. When I was growing up and I heard meditation, I thought it was all about performing, just being silent and closing your eyes and sitting in Indian style.
Yeah, which I'm terrible at. I have ADD.
Indian style is probably not appropriate. That's not probably not.
I know. Anyway, crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce, eyes closed with your fingers like this, but in truth, it's like, I guess meditation is about...
It's actually about pulling yourself out.
But I want to say that for me, that I prefer just an everyday process of observing the things that upset me or the things that produce a reaction from me, and pulling out there rather than sitting in solitude. When I was saying a different thing, right? If somebody insults me or they think they're insulting me with something like, oh, you're a tall, fat woman, that would not affect me at all. I know I'm not a tall, fat woman. So if someone does throw something at me and it does affect me, the capacity in that moment or moments after to go, well, why did it then? Like something about the phrase or the insult is relevant to me on some level that causes me to be upset at it.
And I think it's also interesting, nothing other people do is about us. Nothing we do is about other people. And so if someone were to call you, a tall woman or whatever you said, I like to think like, what's going on with that person that they think that is something that would affect me, Exactly. Why would they think that is an insult? Why,
But that's exactly it. It's on their end. Exactly. They're saying the thing tells us something about them, for sure. And then, but also...
But yeah, if it does affect you, then it's like...
you gotta go, what is that? So, little messages that have been, like a lot of the anxiety around leaving work, leaving a stable income thing, right? Like there's messages about what I should be, how I should operate, the steadiness that I should bring as a husband, as a good, partner to you. And it's something to observe. And through talking to the therapist, it's like, well, what is the situation? And for me, it's a catastrophe situation. It's bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
Simply because as a child growing up, my definitions were defined in such a rigid way of what a man and husband does, that I play things out a year ahead, and I'm nervous for things that aren't yet here. So it really calms me down to be able to go, oh, that's my ego. Exactly. That's my ego. That's a projection of a set of anxieties that were given to me from way back, yo.
Which is also interesting because, you know, from what you've told me about your stepfather is that he wasn't always employed. You know, he wasn't always modeling what being a man was. So it's interesting to think of where you got this idea that to be a man, to be a good husband, means you do these certain things and stuff.
Well, we get all the same images, I think, quite often in popular culture and film or whatever, but even with like people in my actual life, it wasn't just their example. It was like noticing the things that they necessarily didn't do well. Yeah. And you know, trying to say, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
That was actually probably for me, a lot of my lessons came that way than the other way.
So Bright says the ego is super fragile and ready to grab the iron sometimes. Yeah, I think the ego is something that, you know, you develop when you're a kid. I learned that, you know, I'm not going to be able to fight my way out of many things, you know, physically. I'm going to have to use my smarts. You know, my ego developed to protect me, and it did keep me safe. And now, though, I'm able to keep myself safe in other ways. You know, I don't have to cling to this image, to this armor, you know, and it slips, it's so easily chinked anyway, you know. My brother also says therapy was great, really helped unpack a lot. And actually, you know, the one qualm I had about Billy was that, you know, I know he came from a traumatic upbringing, and that he is used to shouldering the burden of things and not asking for help. And I understand that a lot of violence is caused by unprocessed trauma, unaddressed trauma. And I think, you know, one of the most loving things you can do for yourself and for the people in your life is to get therapy, is to get to know your brain, you know, get to know what makes you tick. You know, you're not able to keep me safe if you don't know what's going on inside of you, if you don't know what your triggers are, if you don't know what, you know, if someone says something and it affects you, like if I happen to like joke that you're a tall woman or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck? I'd be like, oh my God, what? You know, and so my brother actually helped me find some resources to give to you about finding a therapist, and
it worked out, and I love my therapist.
We're a partner.
She's awesome. You
know, we're partners, and you know, in the same way I would take you to the doctor, like if your knee was hurting or whatever, I want you to heal.
And I really wish it was, you know, it was spoken of in that way. It needs to be spoken of with the same energy. The way we talk about bodily health and autonomy and nutrition, it's the same thing. There's something we don't yet fully properly understand. The way that words, images, archetypes have an effect on us from birth. All of the things we're constantly assessing, and then we start to adopt things. We start to copycat. You see it in very small children. I think it goes on even into adulthood, the ways that we mold each other.
Yes.
And everything from the music to the films to the whatever, we have to
the comedy,
get familiar with this and take it seriously. And thank you for that, because you know, some of this stuff you can't, like, while meditation and this pulling out thing, that's a process. That's a long process that's still ongoing for me. But some of the stuff you can't do on your own.
Yeah.
You really need someone else, a different person who is a third party who so that's you on some level, but that's not your, I don't want to burden you with all this stuff. Plus,
yeah,
you're not
a
professional because it's like you can tell me one thing, you can observe it differently and give me a different perspective, and that's huge. But can you orchestrate with me
give you a game plan
over the next month or whatever? No.
No.
You can't. And so
And
therapy's
that's not my job. Pay someone who is specifically trained in these different ways to do that for you, and I see, you're someone who isn't used to asking for help. So I can see, or talking about yourself, and so I could tell when you first started therapy, it was awkward for you to, just be like, and I know from my own experience with therapy, I really wanted, I wanted to know about my therapist. I was like, how was your week? How are you doing? I'm just talking about me. What are you doing? And she's like, you're paying for this. Like, don't ask about me. I'm fine, but this is for you. This is your time. And I really had to get more comfortable being like, okay, you're right.
Yes. It's work versus meeting up with a friend for brunch or whatever. It's like,
and deadlifting. It's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah, I've had some breakthroughs, some really interesting breakthroughs, which then I think if you have the training and the meditation and some of the training and pulling yourself out, you could take that stuff from the therapy and then apply it on your own and get it done. Because I only see her I see her twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, we've been able to put that practice to work in the interim days.
I love having the time to process and integrate it and see the ways in which whatever I learned comes up in different ways, throughout the weeks, coming to the thing. But
big stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was so loving of you. I think a lot of times we think, a man is supposed to support you, and it's financially, and it's blah, 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 and it's like, you gotta be, no, I want someone who is gonna support me emotionally and mentally, and
exactly.
You're not gonna be able to do that if you're not even in touch with your own mind.
Indeed.
Yeah.
What up, Q?
I also like how in therapy, it helps me see more about myself, what matters to me, in the sense that, I realized that I really wanted my therapist to like me. I wanted her to, have you guys ever, told a joke in therapy and your therapist doesn't laugh? She just starts writing things down. I'm like, okay, that didn't land. I used to, when she would give me homework, I would be like, sweet, let me do it. She's going to be so impressed. And then I realized, that's probably not the goal. I don't think I'm supposed to be impressing this person.
Exactly.
Why do I care about that?
Exactly. Yeah, all that stuff is telling. That's why even the conversation, we talked about this on camera once, that little argument we had in the car over a phone call, whatever, it was telling to me the stuff I cared about,
Yes, exactly.
Why do I care about the things that I care about? And you gotta know it. You want to know yourself, man. Out here, everything that causes disgust and fear and anxiety, fear, the thing that stops us from taking action, where does that come from? Who,
Yeah.
And if we were born in a different place at a different time, we would have a different set of fears.
Yes.
It's not innate to us. It's taught. It's about the stories that we have. So, man, once you get that, it doesn't mean that the fear goes away, but you can actually put it in the right box and you can move around it versus thinking that it is the
truth.
It is the truth. It is the end all be all. It isn't.
Yeah.
It's actually really powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, mental health. Well, therapy.
One of the things my therapist had said, because I was processing this one trauma. I was doing some EMDR, and I had this idea that she said that anxiety is like a mask for me, and that it's not even a mask, it fits me. People tell me I come off very confident and very, knowledgeable and not anxious at all. And so my therapist was like, maybe you just think that that anxiety is just a mask that was given to you by other people, and that when you take it off, which I feel like when I'm on stage, I kind of come alive. That's when the real Sheba is, when I can't hide anymore, and I take off this mask of anxiety, and I can just be.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's true for you. I think that's absolutely true. The way you operate on stage is amazing. I like you, in regular life too.
Thanks. I'm great.
But yeah, these
You're like that too, actually. Though
that's what I'm saying.
You used to, when I first met Billy, he was like, I'm a behind the scenes guy. Thank you. Right, I do hide it well. Fake it till I make it. That's something that I had to do to navigate life is to pretend that I was okay and, you know, like, be like, no, I'm great. And now I'm able to be like, actually, I am great. I am okay, you know? And so this anxiety might be something else that I just have to shake off. But yeah, you would say that you were a behind the scenes person and you don't, you know, like you want to, and I don't know, you're awesome. I think, and you always would say, like, when you say something that made a lot of sense, you would be like, does that make sense? Like, yes, of course it makes sense. You are someone who's very good at making sense. And you're good at speaking, and you're awesome to look at. You know, I don't know if you're a behind the scenes person. I think you've been taught that you are a supporter, you know, and that you're supporting it so that other people can shine.
I think that's a part of my traumatic experience too, though. I think that I internalized a thing where there was safety in being not seen, and there was safety in kind of not, you know, sticking the head out, not showing everything that I'm capable of, you know what I mean? And just kind of, so now I'm back trying to flex those muscles again and trying to shine and go, yo, I'm capable of a lot, and here's what I bring. And rather than like assessing the room and giving the room exactly what it needs, like giving it all now. And it's just like working these muscles again and getting comfortable again. But I think there's a similar thing happening, a mask that I've put on, and I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm
trying more now, rather than I don't want to be a thermometer. I want to be the thermostat. Rather than coming into a room and taking the temperature and seeing how I can fit in, I'm going to come in and set the temperature of the room. You know, it doesn't even suit me to hide, you know, like I can't help but stand out. And, you know, I think we're taught that you don't want to be attention seeking. You don't want to draw, like, you know, it's bad to, you know, be looking for attention, to want people to look at you. But like, why? I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. I have hilarious, helpful, wise things that come out of my mouth. I'm going to say it. And you should too. And you should too.
Yup. What up, Dawood?
There's like 3 people on this. But you should. You're all very powerful people. And
but there's just, again, back to the imagery and this stuff we learn stuff. I always, like, you know, from playing football, and I was a public person. I'd go out. I used to think of myself as an extrovert. I don't think I'm that anymore. But you know, like, you go into certain places and there's this big energy. Like, some people bring big energy, and they're taking a lot of they're drawing attention, and so I would observe and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna be over here, and, you know, instead of competing, and after a while you get into that.
And I think that's a good, you know, practice to not. I never try to, you know, compete with other people, and I think we can all see when someone's like trying to kind of be like, look at me, hello, hey, I'm so worthy, I'm so funny, and I'm so interesting. And maybe I just think that's very obvious because I've done that. I've been that person. And it's, you know, we dislike in others often what we see in ourselves. So, you know, when I see someone trying to be like, look how different and interesting I am, and funny and smart, hello, I know all the things. And it's like, I notice that, and I'm like, oh shit, is that how I've looked sometimes when I've been trying to prove my value in the room? You know, I think growing up as like a dark-skinned woman, existing in these different, you know, male spaces, in these, you know, mixed race spaces, in these all-white spaces, I felt like, you know, I had to prove my value, because I feel like there's this sense of like, what is she doing here? And it sucked, because I knew that I was like, I'm awesome, I'm an amazing person, and it sucks that because I'm in this like tiny dark-skinned girl body, people aren't able to see it all the time. And so I'm really glad that I've gotten to a point where I don't feel like I have to prove that. I can just be, you know.
Q says our fears were given to us by our oppressors as well as our belief system. That's facts.
Yes, exactly.
Our fears come from stories. Our fears come from stories. And so a lot of times, the oppressors as well as our belief system, they come from places that don't give a fuck about us. They also come from places that do.
Of love,
Talk about us. The people who are, you know, your parents, elders in your spaces, like they love you and they share their fears with you, the fears that they inherited, the fears that they were taught, and if they haven't gone through their own process in therapy and gotten over it, they will pass it to you because they love you and they think that you should fear these things as well.
And I think like these older generations really haven't had the, you know, privilege of being able to unpack their minds. So they just took the stories that they were told and were kind of like, well, I mean, that's true. And they, you know, we all draw our own conclusions from things. You know, something might have happened when we were a kid. And we, you know, our parents maybe, you know, got home from work and they were tired and maybe some stuff happened to them and they yelled at us when we were like, hey, look at this cool artwork I did. And they're like, don't bother me. And we drew the conclusion, you know, that like, oh shit, like me sharing my art is bad. That's not cool. It made this person not like me. And I want this person to like me. So I'm going to not share my art. So we create these stories that might not be the truth, you know, and if we don't talk, we don't know what's going on.
That's the thing. That's the thing, yo. Like, yeah. And I think a lot of these things with parenting, this is stuff that, this information on these little ways that children are picking up through your vibe and your energy.
Trying to make sense of the world.
Making sense of the world.
Their place.
And their place in the world. You know, the kid who is told, you know, their questions go unanswered. They ask questions. Their parents, you ask too many questions. Stop asking questions.
You talk too much.
That's the kid that is sitting in the back of the classroom, not raising their hand. You feel me? And you don't want that. You can't do that. So this kind of stuff it used to be, I think, just privileged information for people who had access to family therapists and all these dollars. And now I think everyone can access this and can now start to incorporate it as a practice in their life, how they interact with their children and their other loved ones. Yeah. And we all gotta be a little bit more mindful because it's bigger than we know. Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of being an adult now is unlearning all of the shit that we learned when we were kids. You know, unlearning the calling attention to the implicit biases we have, calling attention to these stories that we've told ourselves, these agreements that we've made. Oh man, the 4 Agreements. That's a great book. So that's another thing. So we've got therapy. We've got meditation and mindfulness. We've also got books because I know that, you know, therapy might not be accessible to everyone. Even though, you know, there's telehealth now. If you're in Maryland, they have the Maryland Pro Bono Counseling Project. And we'll put that link in, you know, the thing when we post this. But it's great. You, you know, go online, you say where you are, they charge you, it's no more than $25 a session, and they pair you with a therapist. And it's to help make therapy accessible to low and middle income people in Maryland. Anyway, if that's not available, or if you want supplements like I do, there's a lot of books that are available that are really helpful. And we will also drop those in the link. The 4 Agreements is a great one. That is, it's a quick read. It breaks it down, and it's just like these agreements we've made with the world that keep us stuck, that keep us sad, and keep us afraid, and keep us feeling like, I can't do that, I can't do this.
And they might have served us at one point in life. They might have been essential.
They might have kept us safe.
Certain shit.
Exactly.
But at some point, you gotta pull away. And that's why, so Q, I want to answer your question too. You said, is validation a human need like air and water? But I think, because I posted this joint, there was a story I saw about this, there was a cartoon, that girl, she was saying that she has all this sludge on her all the time, and you swipe through, and eventually she's talking about how she's trying to remove all the sludge. And again, like we were saying earlier about like coming at peace with the feelings versus like attacking it and getting rid of it. Yeah. I think, damn, did I lose my fucking...
No, so, okay, the thing about sludge, it's all these stories that were put on her.
I want to say, I think for me, it's powerful to come to a balance, come to a place of an exchange with these things. Like, some of the sludge you just want to get rid of. Some of it you want to get rid of. But some of it is... We live in a collective space, you know? We share space with people, and some of these things are just like, they're inevitable nicks and bruises that happen through the exchange of different people with different ideas. And it's like, the best thing you can do for me, as I see it, is to lessen the value of it. So I don't necessarily have to destroy it. Like I'm not a church person, but if someone invites me to church, someone says, God bless you, Billy, and I pray for you and come to my church, I don't have to run away from them or deny them. I can go and I can engage, so I can engage in these public things, even if they're not exactly my own. I can still pull away from it. You know what I mean? So the point isn't to, because if everyone just is fully themselves all the time, running around butt naked, farting everywhere, dropping deuces wherever they are, that's me. I'm being a little extra with it. But the point is that the sludge in this metaphor, I don't know if it's avoidable, and I think it's something to observe. And once you observe it correctly, you don't have to be committed to it. It lessens the weight of the sludge. Yeah, you can simply observe. You can laugh at it. You can enjoy it.
You can explore it. You can see where it comes from. Because I think a lot of time, so I don't think validation is a human need per se, but I think it's something we're told that we're supposed to want. We want other people to co-sign us. We want the people in our life to agree with us. We want everyone to agree with us. We want to be understood. We want to feel, like people think we're good, that we're worthy.
Well, here's the thing.
So I was just going to say, and I think it's good and a value. It's helpful to care about what some people think of you. But you got to be specific with who those people are. If it's a stranger, if it's this person on TV, I don't care about them. I care about the people who have proven that they have my best interests at heart. And even those people, I can take some of their stuff with a grain of salt. But if you try to be validated by everyone, that's when you're going to have a bad time.
See, but that's the thing, is the validation is part of the sludge thing. And the work of finding yourself allows you to be, and not just finding yourself, but being comfortable in yourself. Because I think that validation, put a different way, like, if we existed completely in a vacuum and solitary, we wouldn't know. There's no way to assess ourselves. This dude I appreciate, Alan Watts, this philosopher, he talks about that. Like you can only see a picture by noticing the difference between the foreground and the background. The background is essential to the picture too. It's not just the foreground. Yeah. And so
contrast is necessary to see the thing.
You need something to tell you, oh yeah, you're on the right track. Now, you don't want to be locked in with that though. You're gonna get those things. You get validation. You're gonna seek it because you need it, and you're human. But then you gotta weed through it and come up with your own, markers for assessing.
Yeah, and you have to understand that the people who are validating you or who you're seeking validation from are also just people who are figuring it out the first way. And that's so, right. They're, you're on the right track or you're on the wrong track, might be just a reflection of their understanding of life and their fears that maybe they haven't unpacked or, and so...
Exactly. That's why growing up, my uncles used to say shit like, one of my uncles used to say, if you've got 5 knuckleheads in your crew, you're the 6th knucklehead, right? And to me, the way I see that is like if I was roommates with 5 people where it was normal to get up in the morning and do some wild drugs in the morning, every morning, we might create a world, the 6 of us in that apartment, where this is okay, where we're validating each other. Where you get up, you start doing wild drugs, and nobody says anything to you. So validation is a very weird thing. You can create validating spaces that aren't serving you. Yeah. So you got to come back to, I think it helps to maybe like expand your spheres of knowledge, get internal and get to know yourself better. And then you start to make better choices. You say, I don't want to live in this place. I need to be around someone who cares about other shit and and will promote me and validate me for things that I care about. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I also think it's very helpful to have people around you who can be honest with you, can be like, who often validate you, but are like, hey, actually, I do notice this kind of thing, you know? And it might be nothing, but if you're someone who everyone always agrees with you. No one ever, tells you wrong, that, you're great. Maybe that's because you have shown you're not a safe person to take criticism. You're not good at assessing yourself. That when people are like, hey, this was kind of a weird thing you do, you blow up. Or you get vindictive, or you're not able to, parse through and just sit with a critique. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's major key, too. Because you can create, just like you have these roommates who aren't serving you, you can create a situation where you don't allow people to be honest around you. Mm-hmm. Someone gives you an honest assessment, and you in small ways or in large ways, you tell them, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I just want, this. And so they'll potentially start to do that. So you can't do that. You have to value truth. You have to value even hard truths. Mm-hmm. And,
and if you get internal, if you have a practice of mindfulness, if you have a practice of knowing yourself, you're going to be better able to parse through, okay, is this a helpful truth? Is this an accurate truth that I want to internalize and do something about? Or is this someone projecting their own weird shit onto me? I think on your thing about, if you got 5 knuckleheads, I've heard the phrase, if you're the smartest person in your group, if you're the most successful person in your group is too small. You always want to have some challenge. You don't want to just be the teacher. You don't, that's not feasible, and you're probably not, life, you got to be a lifelong student. And, I like to be able to see, not just people who are like, hello, I am a teacher teaching you things. I like my teachers imperfect. I like to, people who I have a strong reaction to, I like to see what they're teaching me about myself, what they're teaching me about, the world and human nature and things.
Yeah. This goes back to the other thing too, like every interaction you have is just a lesson. Yeah. And it's an exchange. It's a mirror.
So we're sitting in front of a mirror, so I'm just
It's a mirror, it's an exchange, it's a lesson, it's a
co-creation.
Projection, it's a co-creation. And if someone I try to just take it in. I try not to have a feeling towards something. So especially if I'm around the right people who are honest with me, and you give me a criticism, let's say, I wanna hear it. I don't want to reject it. Mm-hmm. When I want to tell the story in an IG, like a personal IG on my own. But when I first came out here, I worked on Capitol Hill. I'm gonna tell this real quick. Worked on Capitol Hill, first job. I was really excited. Oh my God, I got 2 suits. Worked on Capitol Hill, figured this shit out. And I went to the gym a lot. In fact, is that how I know Q? Yeah, I think I know Q from this gym, man. Or was it from flag football, Q? I can't remember how I met you, man. There's this dude in the gym talking about the Afghanistan war. So this is 2005, 6, 7. So this dude named Kevin talking about the Afghanistan war. And I stayed away from him because he was saying something that was uncomfortable to me as someone who worked for a congressman and who, my political understanding was kind of limited. And I didn't want to hear the truth about what the Afghanistan war was, about what it means for the people who lived in that country, about what it meant in terms of the illegality, as an international incident. And it took me weeks before I started to actually listen to him. And because I did not, I somewhere deep in the back of my head, I understood that the ideas that he was presenting were going to be shifting my whole understanding of
new information. It's that thing. New information is processed in our amygdala, and that's where we process threats. We process we do our flight or fight or freeze thing. And I think in that instance, in the instance when you met that atheist when you were a kid, you had this like, that's new information, and I have to run away from this, or I have to fight it, or I'm just like, and
conflicting information.
Yeah.
And I would just like reactionary, either stay away or I would argue points that didn't even properly make sense. I would just Billy, you are horrible. We met through flag football. I can't believe. No, I said it was either.
Terrible.
It was either flag football or the gym.
You're a monster.
But
yeah.
Yeah, no,
So yeah.
So then eventually I had to like push past that. I had to notice that about myself. What are you doing here? What does it mean that you just have this weird reaction and you don't, you want to stay away from this stuff? Like, what about the truth don't you want to deal with, you know? It was a major growth thing for me. It actually flip my whole, once I dealt with it, it flipped my whole shit over because then I ended up changing my whole perspective of the work I was doing. I started pouring into different authors and reading different books and got involved in activism and ended up leaving Capitol Hill and the whole deal. It changed my life, real talk. But I was afraid of that potential. Yeah. That very potential, but then I had to open myself up to it because it was the truth. The truth can't, we can't not deal with reality. When you do that, you sign up for what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Truth is one thing, but living the truth is a whole nother thing. And in order to like live the truth, you gotta like accept it and you gotta deal with that discomfort of being like, what the fuck? Like this is icky and I don't know what to do with it. And
it's really, and so I think love and I think wellness, mental health is deeply associated with acceptance of truth, yo.
Yeah.
I think that those two are almost fucking synonyms. Acceptance of truth. So whatever it is. So again, if I have an insecurity, for me, growing up playing football, thinking that I was gonna go to the NFL, height was an insecurity. I'm 5'9" and played with tall 6'3" dudes in college, whatever. And love is saying I'm 5'9". There's nothing wrong with 5'9".
Yeah.
Love
it's not a moral failing.
Yeah. Love is saying whatever it is doesn't have to produce an anxiety. It can simply be what it is. The story I have that produces the anxiety, that's the thing I should challenge. Not the reality of what the fuck it is.
Yes.
Has it been an hour already?
I know. Wow. Oh my gosh. That's a good clue. We should talk about mental health more often. I think that's something that energizes us and it just it ties in so many things that we're about, which is about truth, unlearning all these things, but yeah, I understand like my insecurity growing up was just general unworthiness. I was a girl, I was dark skinned, I wasn't I didn't think I wasn't like the valedictorian. I wasn't, an all-American at sports. Guys didn't want to date me. I felt very ugly and unworthy in a world that tells you, if you're going to be a woman, you have to be a pretty woman. You have to be a light-skinned woman. You have to have good hair. You have to be not too loud. You have to be these things. And I was just like, well, I'm none of those things. So I guess the NFL certainly isn't waiting for me. What am I here for? I really struggled with, purpose and stuff. So
that's crazy. It's not love.
Anyway.
Love is
the truth. Love uncomfortable. And most people can't handle it. Living in a distorted reality is more comfortable. It's not love. Exactly. When we're so exposed to and encouraged to value falseness, love, authenticity is scary. Truth is scary. So
authenticity, that's a key thing, man. That's a goal. Authenticity comes from the love, comes from the wellness, comes from the acceptance. Whatever you are is right. Whatever, this moment is right. We are exactly where we're supposed to be right now. And it's okay. And, just be in this moment. Live with the feelings. Feel them.
Yes.
And then walk through it. And then the next moment is also right.
Yes.
And now if there's something, if there's something you want, then choose that in this moment. Choose this is like what you can control versus what you can't control. If there's something you want that you can control, then choose to walk towards that. But the rest of it, love it, accept it.
Just be.
Be it. Your health improves through that. Your mental health. So
Y'all, so fun. Okay, next week I think we should talk more about we'll just continue this. I have so many good books that I think are going to be really helpful in continuing this discussion. And y'all, we are figuring this out. I think we're going to save the world. I mean, just everything works out for me, guys. So I think it's going to work out. All right.
Yo,
love you guys.
Thanks, y'all. Take it easy.